I wanted to bring up this passage in Revelation is because it talks about beheading. And this is one of the main reasons why I believe that Islam will have a very pronounced role in the one world religion as a dominant force in that religion. It's important to know that beheading has always been, and even now is, a Muslim practice that is actually commanded in the Qur'an. In fact, when a Muslim will behead a Jew or a Christian, this Muslim is being obedient to what the Qur'an commands him to do. A frontpagemag.com website had an interesting article a few years ago titled "The Sacred Muslim Practice of Beheading." He says, reactions to the grotesque jihadist decapitation of yet another infidel Jew, Mr. Berg, you remember this back in 2004, make clear that our intelligentsia are either dangerously uninformed or simply unwilling to come to terms with this ugly reality. Such murders are consistent with sacred jihad practices as well as Islamic attitudes towards all non-Muslim infidels, in particular Jews, which date back to the 7th century and the Prophet Muhammad's own example. I found this website. It's a Muslim website, Reality with a Bite. Wow. He, with a title of "Killing by Beheading is Islamic," says, big question, is the beheading Islamic? Yes, beheading is, of course, an Islamic justice to the infidels, criminals, and sinners. You know who he's talking about there? You. Yeah, have a nice afternoon. He goes on to say, the cruel way of killing infidels is sanctioned by Islamic Sharia laws. Denial to the grotesque beheading of Western kafirs by those Islamic terrorists in Iraq, that is not Islamic, is yet another clear sign of ignorance, hypocrisy, or intellectual dishonesty by the defenders of Islam. What he's referring to is the outcry by the Islamic community here in the United States of America that denounced the terrorist attacks of 9/11, stating that these terrorists hijacked a peace-loving religion. I'm going to go on record and say it. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Islam is not a peace-loving religion. Islam is a religion that is evil. Islamists, he goes on to say, are not ready to take the burden of ugly reality of the fact that human beheading is 100% consistent with the sacred Islamic jihadi practices. He quotes the Quranic verses that you can find in the Qur'an. What is the Qur'an? The Qur'an is like the Bible is to us, the Qur'an is to the Muslim. So he lists these verses almost to rebuke his Muslim brethren and say to them, quit denying that beheading is Islamic. Quit denying that striking terror in the hearts of the infidels is not Islamic. It is Islam. This is Islam, and this is what the Qur'an commands the Muslim to do. 533, the punishment of those who wage war against Allah and His Messenger and strive with might and main for mischief through the land is execution by beheading or crucifixion or the cutting off of hands and feet from opposite sides or exile from the land, that is their disgrace in this world, and a heavy punishment is theirs in the hereafter. Quran 8:12, I will instill terror in the hearts of the unbelievers. Smite ye above their necks, and smite all their fingertips off. In other words, behead them. The infidels, the Jew, the Christian, 47:4. Therefore, when ye meet the unbelievers in fight, strike off their heads at length. Then when you have made white slaughter among them, carefully tie up the remaining captives thereafter. Is the time for either generosity or ransom until the war lays down its burdens. 9:123. O ye who believe, murder those of the disbelievers, and let them find harshness in you. 2:191. Kill them wherever you find them, and drive them out from wherever they drove you out. 5:45. We ordained them for them, life for life, eye for eye, nose for nose, ear for ear, tooth for tooth, and wounds equal for equal. 2:193. Fight them on until there is no more tumult and religion becomes that of Allah. 9:29. Fight those who do not believe in God, speaking of Allah, and the last day, and fight people of the book, Christians and Jews, and who do not accept the religion of truth, Islam, until they pay tribute, ziziyah, tax, by hand, being inferior. 8:17. It is not ye who slew them, it is God, again speaking of Allah, whom thou threwest a handful of dust. It was not thy act, but God's. That's what the Qur'an says. Do you know that some have counted over 120 verses in the Qur'an that are like this? I'm not going to read any more. That's enough for me. Some of you are thinking, okay, someone's going to ask me, how was church today? I say, it was great. We read verses in the Qur'an. You read verses in the Qur'an? Yeah. Hey, don't you have an Arab pastor? Yes, we have an Arab pastor. And you want me to come to church with you? Yeah, I don't think so. What's my purpose in doing this? I just want to freak you out. No, my purpose in doing this is to inform you and encourage you in your heart so you're not deceived by what is now happening. Next Sunday, Lord willing, we'll have another, in this series. I set out to just do this on one Sunday morning, and I found so much that, I really feel like that I need to share, because for the most part, Christians are uninformed. And we'll talk about this more next Sunday, Lord willing, but I think you'd be shocked to find how many Christians, professing Christians, believe that Jehovah and Allah are the same God. This is my purpose, really, in doing this, is so that you can be informed, and by being informed, you can be encouraged. I think of what the Apostle Paul said to the Colossian church, recorded in chapter 2, verses 2 through 4. He said, my purpose is that they may be encouraged in heart and united in love, so that they may have the full riches of complete understanding, in order that they may know the mystery of God, namely Christ, in whom are hidden all the treasures of wisdom and knowledge. I tell you this so that no one may deceive you by fine-sounding arguments. Sounds fine, sounds peace-loving, these arguments in defense of Islam, but don't be deceived. Don't be deceived. Don't be ignorant, the Apostle Paul to the Corinthian church said, of Satan's devices. This is a device of Satan to deceive people into believing a lie from the father of lies, as Satan is called in the scriptures. And that is my purpose in taking you down this road, so that you can know the truth, and the truth can set you free.